And we are live. We are live. What's going on, people? How you guys doing? Thought I'd do a live stream, not done one for ages. I think it's been like a month, something like that, since I did my last live stream. So thought I'd fire up a quick stream, talk some boxing, no real topic at hand. Just kind of play it by ear, see what happens. See where the conversation takes us, I guess, right? Big up to Big Dan in the building. First person here. Big up to you, sir. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're keeping okay. Not too much, man, in regards to boxing right now. But thoughts on Lomachenko versus Lopez. First and foremost, it's a great fight. Can't wait for actually when that fight gets announced. Looks like it's going to be in October. Me personally, I think it's a risky fight for Lomachenko. I believe Teofimo Lopez is the most dangerous guy he's fought at lightweight. To be honest, I think he'll pose the biggest threat for Lomachenko. Lopez, he's a big guy. He's a fairly quick guy, in particular with one shot. He's got good reactions, good counterpuncher. I think he's a very dangerous proposition, but at the end of the day, it's Lomachenko. I do make Lomachenko a favourite. I expect him to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does have issues. Maybe he hits the deck, something like that. I think it's a really good fight. It's a really good fight. Both guys haven't fought for a while now. That's the other thing to consider. Last time Lomachenko fought was, August last year. So basically, by the time this fight comes around, Lomachenko would have been out of the ring for more than a year. So you've got to consider that. But it's a good fight, man. It's a great fight. It's a great fight. Big up to the LDBA. Thank you very much. Nice of you to drop by. Box, big up to Box. Hopefully you're doing well. By the way, lads, I am absolutely cream crackered. I'm knackered. So if I'm a little bit lethargic or get tongue-tied, I'm knackered. Yesterday was a heavy night, put it that way. Do you know what I mean? I'm kind of paying for it now. So there we go. There we go. I say that, but I'm sitting here with a fucking pint of Guinness. So what can we do? What can we do? Big up to Chase Athletics. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're keeping well. Big Dan, he says, I honestly think Lopez could knock him out in the mid-rounds, but my bet would be on a Lomachenko majority decision, but judges will be biased and give it a UD. Yeah, I mean, listen, Lopez to me, man, I think Lopez is a very dangerous opponent. I really do. I've seen a lot of people say Lomachenko is going to school Lopez and completely neutralize him and render him useless. I'm not sure about that, man. I'm not sure. To me, it's obvious. Lomachenko at lightweight, he's reached his ceiling, and guys are now having more success. Guys are having more success against Lomachenko at lightweight, and I think that is based on a lot of his guys' size. Guys like Linares. So Linares, Campbell, Pedraza, all of these guys had some success against Lomachenko. To me, Teofimo Lopez, I would pick him to beat all of those guys I mentioned. So I think Teofimo he's a threat, man. He's a threat. I really believe that. I really believe that. And another thing to consider, Teofimo Lopez has been calling for this fight basically since he turned pro. Maybe he sees something. Who knows? He's always wanted this fight, though. He's always wanted this fight, which is a good sign, in my opinion, if you're a Lopez fan. Big up to Matt. Thank you very much, man. Good evening to you too, man. Good evening to you too. Thank you very much. Box, he says, I hope Loma no masses him. I can't see it happening, man. I can't see it happening. I think Lopez will make the distance. I think Lomachenko wins on points, but I think he'll have a few hairy moments here and there. He might get buzzed. He might even get dropped. I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen, but I am picking Lomachenko. I'm picking Lomachenko. Shouldn't have really said that because I've not made my prediction video yet, but there we go. Big up to John Wayne. Big up to John Wayne. We've got John Wayne in the building. He says, Joe Gallagher recently said that if Callum Smith moves up to 175, Callum Johnson will move down to 168. Who do you think does better in each weight? Interesting question, actually. Interesting question. Callum Smith at light heavyweight, I'm not convinced, to be honest. I'm really not convinced. That size advantage, he'll still have it, but a lot of these guys at 175 are more powerful, they're stronger, they're bigger. I'm not sure Callum Smith has the boxing ability, and I'm not sure he's dynamic enough to deal with these guys at 175. If Callum Johnson can get down to 168 healthily, I think that guy will be a bit of a contender, to be honest. I really do. I think he'll be a contender. So, interesting that. That's interesting. Yo, big up to MB. What's going on, man? Hopefully you're doing well. Box, he says Tiafimo's hiding at 135, waiting for Josh Taylor to move to 147. Nah, man, I don't think so, man. I like Tiafimo Lopez. I like the fact he's actually calling for this Lomachenko fight. I do like that. I do like that. He seems to have ambition, so I can't hate on that. He seems to have ambition. And that's what I want to see from these young guys, man. That's what I want to see. It gets tiresome looking at guys like Tank Davis talking on Twitter without really doing anything. To me, Teofimo Lopez, he seems legit in regards to wanting to fight people. So for me right now, Teofimo Lopez, I've got no bad words to say about the kid. I'll be honest. Don't really have any bad words to say. Yo, big up to Buddy Aces. Hopefully you're doing well, man. Hopefully you're doing well. Teofimo and his goofy Fortnite dance. Yeah, that's one thing actually about Teofimo. That fucking dance he does. Yeah, that's one bad thing. Callum Smith is the most overrated fighter in recent times. BS Matchroom matchmaking and dog fucker management. Yeah, exactly. I think Callum Smith is a good fighter, but I think he's plateaued. I don't think he's going to get any better. His vulnerabilities are quite apparent, to be honest. He's one-paced and does the same thing over and over. He's quite predictable. I wonder about Callum Smith, winning that World Boxing Super Series. He made a lot of money in that tournament. He made a lot of money. Is the hunger still there? I'm not that sure, to be honest. I'm not that sure. He doesn't seem keen to fight other champions. Doesn't seem keen at all. Doesn't seem keen to build a legacy. He just wants that Canelo fight to cash out. That's what it seems like. So I'm not really sold on Callum Smith right now, I'll be honest. I'm not really sold on Callum Smith. He's a good fighter, though. Good fighter. But, yeah, I think he is a bit overrated, to be honest, LDBA. I think he's a bit overrated. Yeah, big up to Padger in the chat as well. Yeah, Callum Smith, 2 upright and basic. Yeah, 100%. I mean, look at the John Ryder fight, man. John Ryder was, 5 inches shorter, 6 inches shorter? And John Ryder was out-jabbing the taller man. He was out-jabbing him. He was busting him up on the inside. He was the ring general. He was controlling the pace of the fight. Callum Smith never had any answers, never adjusted, never changed his game up. Same thing over and over and over again. And if it wasn't for those blind judges, he wouldn't have that belt right now. He wouldn't have that belt right now. But there we go. What can we say? Yeah, Matt, I saw that actually, Matt. Dubois' next opponent, Eric Pfeiffer. Yeah, he beat Tony Yoka in the World Series of Boxing. Yeah. As a pro, though, Eric Pfeiffer, from what I've seen, doesn't look all that impressive. I saw his last fight against Adnan Redzovic, and he got dropped in that fight and he got hurt badly. So I think Dubois is going to go through him like a hot knife through butter. But, he was a decent amateur. He's got an unbeaten record, so you can sell it. I guess. Yeah, exactly, LBDA. Smith's been pieced up by Nicky Holskin, now John Ryder. No wonder he's ducked the elite level competition. Yeah, 100%, man. He doesn't seem about it. Callum Smith. He really doesn't. Again, I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. He's clearly not. But yeah, he's not about it. Yo, big up to Johnny Boy, man. I knew you. Listen, mate. Honestly, mate. I forgot. I'll be honest. I forgot about this bet. But thank you very much, man. Big up to Johnny Boy, man of honor. What can we say, man? I've been on the other end as well with Mark when I lost a bet, and one of those things, man. One of those things. But thank you very much. Much appreciated. The fight itself. Let's just briefly talk about the UFC. I enjoyed the card. I enjoyed Namo Yunez versus Andrade, whatever her name is. That was a good fight. Aldo versus Peter Yan. That was a good fight. Holloway versus Volkanovski, that was a really good fight, but a bad decision. So the card itself was great until the main event, in my opinion. The main event was a bit of a letdown, I've got to say. But it was kind of a fight I was expecting. I was kind of expecting Masvidal to look okay early on, which he did. But I expected Usman to basically wrestle hump him, to be honest, and get a decision. That's what happened. So I'm not all that surprised, but still a bit disappointed. I would have liked Masvidal to win, to be honest, despite the bet, you know. But there we go, man. There we go. Masvidal can come back. He's still got a big name. I wouldn't mind seeing Masvidal versus Colby Covington, to be honest, just for the banter, man. The banter, the trash talk. That'd be a good fight. Or even Masvidal versus Conor, if you want a super fight, go that route. But I certainly want to see Masvidal again. And as for Kamaru Usman, listen, I'm a casual MMA fan. His style is not for me personally. I like strikers, you know. I like strikers personally, but there we go. He done his thing, man. He done his thing. Oh, Big Dan, he disagrees. He's saying Holloway Volkanovski wasn't a bad decision. Could have gone either way, and round 3 stats were wrong. Volk landed more in round 3. I had it 3-2 Volkanovski. Fair enough, man. Again, I'm a casual MMA fan, so take my opinion with a grain of salt. But it was a good fight, though. It was a really good fight. It was a really good fight. Yeah, Yan versus Aldo. Yeah, I liked that fight. Peter Yan in round 5, man. He went fucking savage mode. He went savage mode, took him out. 100%. Peter Yan looks decent. Yeah, Sal West, I think I agree. Covington would beat Masvidal the same way, in his opinion. Yeah, that wrestling, man. It's that wrestling. Masvidal can always catch somebody, you know, coming in with those fancy strikes, those knees, those elbows, etc. But I would take Covington. I just think those wrestlers are a bad style matchup for him, to be honest. Chuck Masvidal in there with another striker, and he'll look great. He'll look great. Masvidal versus Robbie Lawler. That's a good fight, but Robbie Lawler now is a bit. He's past it, any Robbie Lawler. He's past it. Yeah, tell me about it, Big Dan. So yesterday I was basically up all night, getting boozed up, watching the fights with the old boys. So yeah, it was a long night for me as well. Went to bed at like 6:30 in the morning. Woke up about 9 o'clock in the morning, so I've had 2.5 hours sleep. So yeah, it's been a bit. I feel a bit rough, put it that way, you know. But yeah, good night though. Good night. How do you see Clay versus Congo going? I've got Chris Congo, to be honest. Chris Congo on points. Clay's more proven. He's fought better competition, but I think Chris Congo to me just looks like a guy with a higher ceiling. To be honest, looks like he might hit a bit harder as well. So I'm going to go with Chris Congo in that one. Fucking hell, you went to bed at 11 a.m. Yeah. Man, these nights, man, they're starting to catch up with me now as I get a bit older. I'm 26 now and I can still pull these off and still function, but it's getting harder. It is getting harder now to stay up all night. I can't lie. It's getting a bit harder. But big up to Johnny Boy though, man. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Ah, Jesus. I'm on the old Guinness right now, so there we go. There we go. What's going on boxing scene? Okay, so Shakur Stevenson, he's vacated his WBO featherweight title. He's moved up to 130. Interesting. I mean, what did Shakur Stevenson really do at 126? Not much, man. Not much at all. Hopefully at 130 he starts to fight for top competition, see how good he really is, you know. But we'll see what happens with Shakur Stevenson. Good talent, but we'll see. Not to be that guy, but the whole women's boxing thing doesn't sit right with me morally. Also pisses me off because it's just used as a cheap way to bulk a pay-per-view and the standards are usually wank. I totally agree, Matt. I totally agree. The thing is, man, with this whole women's boxing thing, like, it just seems very forced. It doesn't seem organic at all. When I watch big pay-per-view cards, I watch them primarily with casuals who know nothing about boxing, right? They're the guys who'll buy 2-3 pay-per-views a year. That's who I watch boxing with. And every single time a female fight comes on, there's a big collective sigh in the room when it happens. That's the truth. A lot of people really aren't into it. Some people are. If you're into women's boxing, fair enough. I'm not fucking casting judgment, but the reality is a lot of people don't like it, and it is forced. I mean, how do you gauge if women's boxing is actually growing? I'll tell you an idea. Why not just have a full female card, headlined by female fighters, see how well it does, and then we can talk to see where it's at, you know? But for me, it just seems very forced. Again, if you enjoy it, not a problem, knock yourself out, but it's not for me personally. And that's coming from someone who actually I don't mind the female MMA fights. I don't really mind them, to be honest. But women's boxing just doesn't seem right to me. Doesn't seem right. You know? Yeah. Chase Athletics, yeah. Masvidal lost 20 pounds in 7 days. Late replacement. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a tough weight cut, man, in 7 days. But, yeah. He went there. He tried. But at the end of the day, Usman was just too strong. And he got his tactics spot on, man. He got his tactics spot on. He looks like a strong dude, man, as well. Kamaru Usman, very strong. Good wrestling, you know. It's been impressive, actually. His last 3 opponents have been really good opponents. Tyron Woodley, you know, he was actually the champion back then, coming off a good run. Colby Covington, who was the best contender at the time. And now Masvidal. 3 really good wins in a row. Fair play to him. I don't like his style all that much, but he's very effective. He's very effective. The weird thing is, though, with Kamaru Usman, when he fought a wrestler, he fought Colby Covington, and that fight was fucking amazing. Both guys were trading. That was a great fight, you know? Funny how it works out. You'd think that fight could be boring, stylistically, but that was a great fight. What do you think about the Tibbs video being taken down? Bias? Yeah, I've not seen this IFL video with Mark Tibbs. I've not seen it, so I never know. I don't even know what was said. There's one there's one on Seconds Out, I think, still uploaded with Mark Tibbs talking about Dillian White and that situation. But that whole situation, man, there's something up with that. There really is. There is something up with that. More to that than meets the eye. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, Hearn saying Katie Taylor's a pay-per-view star, load of bollocks. 100%. 100%. How many fights how many cards has Katie Taylor headlined in her career? I think one, and that was against McCaskill. That was at York Hall. There's a reason she fought at York Hall, put it that way. You know? There's a reason she was fighting at York Hall. There we go. A lot of people aren't interested. Usman's got a younger brother in the Professional Fight League, heavyweight, 4 fights from $1 million. Okay, interesting. Usman's a good fighter, man. There's no doubt about it. He's a very good fighter. Yep, he fucked Tibbs off just before the jackpot payday. Yeah, exactly. He got his lawyer to contact Mark Tibbs and basically part ways, which is a shitty thing to do, in my opinion. I expected more from Dillian, to be honest. I've been very critical of Dillian in the last few weeks, I've got to say. Not necessarily even Dillian himself, but like the narratives that come out about Dillian. You know, I have been a bit critical. Yeah, it's not a great look, is it? It's not a great look. I always thought, from an outsider looking in, Mark Tibbs and Dillian White seemed like a great pair. Dillian improved as a fighter in that time period. They seemed to have a good understanding. I was surprised when that news broke. I'll be honest. I was very surprised. Very surprised. Yeah, big up to Crazy D3, man. Thank you very much. He says he personally prefers women's MMA over women's boxing because I like watching women wrestling on the ground. But I agree, though. I do genuinely agree. Female MMA, for me, is a lot more interesting. Like the fight last night, Namajunas versus Andrade. That was actually a good fight. That's a really good fight. First 2 rounds were nip and tuck. You know, Namajunas outboxing her. And the last round, man, Namajunas got fucked up. So that's a good fight, man. I enjoyed it. Okay, so Richard Riakporhe phoned Tibbs up and told him. Fair enough, man. Big up to Richard Riakporhe. Big up to Richard Riakporhe. That's the right thing to do, man. Fair play to him. Home wrecker knee knocker. Congo has less experience and against terrible opponents with bad records, and he's not finishing them tomato cans. I took Clay at plus 135 and pretty confident he gets it done on the scorecards by outboxing him. It's possible, man. Like you say, he has fought higher competition. That much is true. But I just see a higher ceiling with Chris Congo personally. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's a good fight. It's a really good fight. They're the sort of fights we need to have at that level, you know. Two prospects squaring off. You know, the winner can really push on, and the loser, man, there's no real harm, is there? When there's two prospects fighting each other, the loser can always regroup. Sorry, he can always come back. So, yeah, man, they're the sort of fights we need in boxing, in British boxing especially. These prospect fights, that's what we need across all levels, man. Like Dubois versus Joyce. That's the sort of stuff we need, man. That is the stuff we need. We need Anthony Yard versus Joshua Buatsi. Fights like that. You know? But it's boxing, man. We're not going to get all these fights, are we? Unfortunately. Yeah, but big up to Richard Riakporhe, though. I'm pleased to hear that. AA Boxing and Blunt, he says, can't blame White for sacking him. Tibbs went to Portugal, then went home until got a new date. Dillian thought I'm training good and Tibbs is just an extra expense. Yeah, maybe, yeah. And apparently Dillian White was doing a lot of training with the guy who's training him now before the WAC fight. What's his name? Xavier Miller or something? Whatever his name is. He was doing training with him before that Marius WAC fight. And there were a few stylistic differences from Dillian White in that fight. He was much more side on, you know, trying to catch and shoot kind of thing. You know, trying to be a bit more of a counter puncher. I don't think it suited him, to be honest, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I agree, Crazy D3. I'm not a fan of Dillian White's mentality. Not his mentality, that's wrong. Yeah, his attitude. Yeah, I agree. It's just really, for me with Dillian, man, it's like the whole victim shit. Oh, I get treated badly, blah, blah, blah. Nah, come on, man. You've had title shots, you've had eliminators, you've turned them down. Fact. That's a fact. You know, you've come out and basically poured cold water on certain fights, i.e. Usyk. He can't speak English. Fans are not interested. Then you go and fight fucking Oscar Rivas, who can't speak English, who's got even less of a profile than Usyk. This is the sort of stuff I don't like from Dillian White. That sort of stuff. I like him as a fighter. I think he's a good heavyweight. He's top 5, no doubt at all. But yeah, some of the comments that he comes out with, man, you know, not really for me. Yeah, if you could smash the like, lads, by the way, be much appreciated. Yeah, exactly. John Wayne. Dillian White's made a fortune by playing the victim. Yeah. Matt, yeah, this is a good point, actually, Matt. The Povetkin fight, he can see it going tits up. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, listen, the last few months, we've heard Dillian complain about the WBC. We've heard Dillian go back and forth with Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. We've now learned that Dillian White has split with his trainer. All of this stuff's going on outside the ring. We're hearing a lot, from Dillian White's camp, his team, but they're not talking about Povetkin. Are they taking their eye off the ball here? Povetkin's a dangerous dude. He can still crack. He's an Olympic gold medalist. He's got great timing. If he hurts you, he can finish you. He is the wrong guy to take lightly. Even at 41, he's the wrong guy to take lightly. He's going to be very dangerous in certain spots in this fight. He's going to be very dangerous. Man, I don't like the way they're not really paying attention to Povetkin. At least that's the image they kind of cast off, you know, into the public. It doesn't feel like they're taking Povetkin seriously. I think that could be a grave mistake. Even though Povetkin is past it, he's still Povetkin isn't past it to the extent that he's shot. He's still got something left. He's still good enough to beat basically fringe level guys like Hughie Fury, and he's still good enough to go 12 rounds with Michael Hunter, who's like borderline top 10. Whether you think he won that fight or not, he's good enough to compete at a certain level. So he's still got something left. Man, listen, when this fight got made, I'll put it this way. When the fight actually got made, I made Dillian Whyte a big favourite, but there was a realistic chance of an upset. As we get closer, now we know what we know. I'm second guessing this fight, I'll be honest. I'm really second guessing it. But we'll see, man. We'll see. It's an interesting fight now. I think it's got a lot more interesting given what's gone on with Dillian Whyte. I think it's got a lot more interesting. But that's just my opinion. Maybe Dillian goes in there and sparks him out. Who knows? But it's going to be interesting, man. A lot of people are saying, you know, Dillian needs to box and move against Povetkin. I disagree, man. I think Dillian needs to go on the front foot and push Povetkin back, bang that body, make it a rough, tough fight. I mean, look at how Marco Huck fought Povetkin. Really aggressive, in his grill, punching him up. And Povetkin really struggled. Michael Hunter early on in that fight just came out all guns blazing, putting hands on Povetkin. Povetkin couldn't deal with it. If he pressured Povetkin, push him back, throw shots, you know, make him work hard, I think Povetkin struggles. I don't think his gas tank's all that great, to be honest. I think Dillian needs to go there and put pressure on straight away. Personally, if he boxes with Povetkin, you're going to give him time and space to find that one opening, to explode into life with that leaping left hook, and he could get caught. Dillian Whyte is not a good enough boxer to stick behind a jab against Povetkin, in my opinion. He's not a good enough boxer. Povetkin's a gold medalist. We need to remember this. People are acting like Povetkin's a bum. It's a hard fight. It's a hard fight. Big up to FB Montages. Hopefully you're doing well. Come over from UCTV, man. Big up to UCTV as well. Big up to UCTV. Robert Helenius was walking Whyte down and Whyte was blowing out of his ass. Yeah, and Robert Helenius, he hurt Dillian Whyte with a jab. You know, his eyes were in the back of his fucking head. Dillian got hurt, man. He got hurt. Yo, big up to Matthew Martinez. He's listening all the way from Chula Vista, San Diego. Thank you very much, man. It's always good to hear guys from all over the world listening in, man. It's great. It's great. We got people from obviously UK, America, New Zealand, Australia. I've got some Croatians as well. You can look at that sort of stuff in the analytics, man. It's sick. Yeah, big up to G-Man Boxing. Shout out to G-Man. By the way, lads, if none of you guys have checked out G-Man Boxing, click on his channel. Really good content, really informative. Puts his stuff together really well. Well spoken, to the point. Just good content, you know. None of this extra shit, you know, that a lot of people bring to the table. Just a good dude who loves boxing, man. So big up to G-Man Boxing. And thank you very much for the super chat. Dominic Chechery, big up to Dominic, another one of the main supporters. Big up to Dominic. Yeah, exactly, Matthew. I think that whack fight, you know, he showed a lot of flaws in that fight. I know he was in bad shape. He was in bad shape because of what was going on beforehand, but still, man, really wasn't a good performance. He could have really, you know, sold himself, but kind of stunk the joint out. But I do agree, though. Whyte is a top 5 heavyweight, in my opinion, Matthew. I'd say he's top 5. I'd say he's top 5, personally. But I think the worst thing he could do, like I said, is take his eye off the ball against Povetkin. You can't play with Povetkin. I don't care what anybody says. Even at 40 years old, you can't play with Povetkin. The guy's dangerous. He's very dangerous. He can punch very hard. Skill for skill, to me, Povetkin's a lot better than Dillian Whyte. You know, if this was Povetkin from, I don't know, 4 years ago, I would take Povetkin in a big way. But that Povetkin doesn't exist anymore. The question is, how much of Povetkin is left, and is that enough to beat Whyte? You know, we'll see. It's a good fight, though. It's a good fight. Big up to Intangible Boxing News. He's another channel, by the way. Check out Intangible Boxing News. He's got his own channel as well. So big up to Intangible. Max Kuckerman, big up to Max, man. He says, I gave UFC a chance until Usman stunk up the joint last night. Yeah, that main event was disappointing. I felt the card before that was actually quite good, though, to be honest. Peter Yan, Jose Aldo, that was a good fight. Holloway versus Volkanovski, good fight. Namajunas versus Andrade, or Andrade, however you say her name, that was a good fight. So the card was good, but the main event just, just a bit of a letdown. But a good card, though. Good card. I can't wait for the Battle of the Omelets. I heard it's being fought on a frying pan. Jesus Christ. You mean Sam Eggington versus Ted Cheeseman? Yeah, that's a good fight. It's a good little domestic fight. Personally, I've got Ted Cheeseman beating Sam Eggington, to be honest. I think Cheeseman's got more variety to his game. He can do a bit more. I think he's got a bit more in the tank as well. So I've got Ted Cheeseman beating Eggington, to be honest. But a good fight, though, man. It's a good fight. It's a good fight. Okay. Yeah, intangible, I agree. The Rose fight was very good. That last round, man, I thought Rose was... there's a couple of points I thought Rose was going to get finished, man. Her eye was all mashed up. She was bleeding. That's a good fight. A very good fight. I enjoyed that one. Yeah, I agree, Matthew. I think Povetkin, you said, yes, Povetkin's very solid and proven. That's why Joshua gets the praise he gets. Yeah, Povetkin was a good win for Joshua. He knocked him out. He had some. Povetkin was giving him some hard moments in that fight. You know, he busted his nose up. He was landing some good shots. He was giving Joshua a good fight until he got caught, basically. So, yeah, Povetkin certainly... You got to look at it this way. Povetkin's been the top 10 heavyweight for about, 12, 13 years. That's a long time. You don't stick around that long if you're a bad fighter. You just don't. Povetkin's a really good fighter and a little underrated, in my opinion. Due to other circumstances, he's underrated, but he's a good fighter. I agree, G-Man. Cheeseman can box a bit. Yeah, we saw that in the Scott Fitzgerald fight. In stages, he was boxing quite well. But, yeah, can he stick to it for 12 rounds? Yeah, that's the thing. Can he stick to it? Oh, you want Sam Eggington to win, Dominic? I'm not really fussed who wins that fight, to be honest. I think Cheeseman's going to win. But, yeah, I'm not really rooting for anybody in that fight. Now, that's a good fight, MB. That's a good fight. Sam Maxwell versus Joe Hughes. Good fight. I've got to say, off the bat, I make Joe Hughes a favourite in that one. I make Joe Hughes a favourite. Good fight, though. Good fight. What do you think of the Bob father terminating Jarrell's contract? Oh, is that official? Crazy D3? If that's official, then fair play to Bob. I mean, what else can he do, really? What else can he do, man? He done the right thing, I guess. Not surprised, though. Jarrell Miller, man. Listen, even when Jarrell Miller comes back, there'll be people sniffing around. He'll get fights when he comes back. Trust me, he'll get fights. This is boxing. He'll still get fights, man. It's crazy. It's crazy to think, but John Wayne, I think boxing in the UK is going to die off soon. No one's taking any dangerous fights and haven't for far too long. Interesting question or interesting point, John Wayne. I've kind of speculated about British boxing and the boom we're going through right now. Eventually, the bubble is going to burst, right? We've seen that in British boxing for years, for the last few decades, for example. British boxing goes in cycles. You have a boom, then you have a downside. Boom, downside, boom, downside. Right now, we're in a boom. But, eventually it's going to burst. How long does this last? I mean, I'm not sure, but one thing to consider. COVID-19. Think of small hall boxing in the UK. Guys who are fighting on small halls without TV coverage, guys who don't have great amateur backgrounds. The UK get a lot of talent through grassroots boxing, or small hall boxing, sorry. We get a lot of talent through that scene. Josh Warrington, for example, was never a highly touted amateur. Lee Selby, another guy. All of these guys came through small hall circuits. Small hall right now is dead. And there's going to be a lot of fighters who pack it in because they can't financially continue with boxing. There's a lot of guys who are going to pack it in, and that could be detrimental on British boxing. That's one thing people are not really considering. We're talking about Sky, we're talking about BT, we're talking about Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, but small hall shows in the UK not being a thing is massive. It's massive, and it's going to have a huge effect on British boxing. It really is. I personally believe so. Hopefully, these smaller promoters can get through it and come back, but it's going to be hard for these guys. It really is. And a lot of fighters, you'll find they're gonna call it a day, man. They might pack it in and do something else. Exactly, G-Man. Exactly. You're very right. COVID will kill the small hall shows in the UK. Some boxers could barely make a living pre-COVID when there's boxing small hall shows. Yeah, exactly, G-Man. Exactly. That's a serious issue that we could be facing in the UK in boxing. The death of the small hall scene. Because where are these fighters going to go, man? Where are these fighters going to go? A lot of these guys could be, just call it a day, man. Like I said, could have a lost generation. Because we do get talent from the small hall scene, like champions, like Josh Warrington, like I said, Lee Selby, guys like Martin Murray. These were all small hall fighters to begin with. Hopefully, hopefully it all works out. But yeah, I think it's a serious issue, to be honest. I really do. Dominic, Maxwell versus Hughes. I think it's in like August, maybe. I did see the announcement on Twitter after MB said about it. It's a good fight though, Maxwell versus Hughes. It's a good fight. Nah, Matthew Martinez, Canelo versus Durrell. Nah, man, Canelo's gonna beat the absolute hell out of Durrell. That's gonna be like a massacre, honestly. I'd like to see Canelo fight Derevyanchenko. If he's going to fight anybody, he's got to fight somebody. He can't get like the elite guys, but why not Derevyanchenko? I think that'd be solid, to be honest. Billy Joe Saunders ducked it, so maybe Derevyanchenko. That'd be a good fight, in my opinion. Decent name, good style match, be exciting, and Canelo should win. It's a good fight, I guess. It's a good fight. Hey Dale, did you see how they fired lots of people, put them on furlough, then after 3 months cut the money? Yeah, exactly. No redundancy process. Yeah, that's sick, man. That's disgusting. Chris Hayes, disgusting. And that's another thing, man. Like, not only about, we're talking about small hall shows in boxing and the death of the small hall scene. The consumer right now, a lot of people, they're out of work. People have lost their jobs. We're going to go through a recession at some point soon after COVID. People's finances are not going to be as strong. People are not going to be as willing to spend 20 quid on the pay-per-view, including myself. Listen, I'm a frugal person. I'm very frugal, and I've got savings. But listen, I ain't going to be spending 20 quid on Dillian White Povetkin. I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. I could do it, but I'm going to keep my wallet close to my chest right now for the next few months. Going to be sensible, man. Going to be sensible. Yeah, big up to the Shepherd of Sons. Hopefully you're doing well. Nice to see you here, man. Nice to see you here. Yeah, Canelo versus Ryder. That's a good shout. Boxing virus. Ryder, like I said it earlier. Ryder, in my opinion, he beat Callum Smith. Why not give him the Canelo fight? I would accept it. I'd accept it. I agree, Dominic. I think Joe Hughes is going to beat Sam Maxwell as well. I agree. Yeah, so the Dubois card, yeah. So Dubois versus Pfeiffer, Maxwell versus Hughes, Edwards versus Asomba, and Hutchinson versus Blackledge. Yeah, pretty good card, to be fair. Pretty good card. Yo, big up to UCTV Boxing, man. Big up to UCTV. By the way, another channel. If you guys are not subscribed, check him out. Really good content. highly recommended, man. Funny dude, and I like his non-boxing content as well. So definitely check out UCTV Boxing. But he says, arguably never been more hungover than I am right now. Did you lose money like me on Masvidal? No, I won money on on Usman. Sorry, I had a bet with one of my subscribers, and it came through. So I won money on Usman, to be fair. So there we go, man. But yeah, I'm hanging as well, mate. I was up till about 6:30, obviously, getting boozed up with the lads, watching the fights. So I'm hanging as well, man. I'm hanging as well. I wasn't even going to do this live stream, but it's been so long since I've done one. I thought I'd fucking fire one up, blow the cobwebs out, and probably start streaming a bit more regularly. Maybe once a week. Maybe once a week. The thing is with me, with streaming, I just find it's motivation, I guess. I enjoy making videos more than streaming. But when I do stream, when I'm in the mood, I really enjoy it. I don't like streaming for the sake of it, to be honest. I really don't. Do it when I want to do it, because that's when I'll, you know what I mean? One of those things, man. Yeah, exactly. Intangible. Yep. Even in America, a lot of the top fighters here were never highly touted amateurs. They came up in grassroots. I mean, look at Terence Crawford, for example. He was not highly touted at all. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing with boxing right now. Like with COVID, the small hall promoters, they can't have shows right now. We could lose a generation worth of talent. A lot of these guys could call it a day because they can't make a living. That's a scary prospect, especially in the UK, man, because grassroots boxing, small hall boxing is a big, big thing. We're talking about Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, and all these people, but, the Steve Goodwins of the world and, these people, man, they produce a lot of talent. They produce a lot of talent. And these guys can't fight right now. So could be detrimental, man. Could be detrimental for British boxing. I do think the bubble's going to burst soon in the UK. I really do. The bubble is going to burst. This boxing boom is going to burst. Always happens, man. It always happens. Big up to G-Man. He says, my friend got a new job just before COVID. Never got to start because of COVID. And is living back home and on the other side of Ireland. Makes me so mad. Yeah, exactly, man. I bumped into somebody actually from college on Saturday. I went to get some petrol and bumped into somebody. He recently finished training to be a chef. He got a job 2 months in. He basically got the job in January. Couple of months in, COVID hits off and he loses his job straight away, and he's still unemployed right now. Like 4 months later, still unemployed. So it's messed up, man. It's messed up. But if times are hard out there, man, times are hard. They really are. I'm just grateful, man. I've still got my job, man. I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. As much as I moan about it, I am grateful. Definitely. Did you see the sparring between Tank versus Red Catch? That was very impressive. I've heard about it, but I've not seen it. I'll give it a watch at some point. Tank Davis winds me up. He frustrates me so much. I see a guy with so much talent, so much ability, power, explosiveness, speed, all of that. But, man, he just doesn't... He doesn't seem dedicated enough, man. Doesn't seem dedicated enough. Doesn't fight high-level competition. He really needs to push on now, because he could be a wasted talent. He needs to push on. He needs to buck his ideas up because he is a good fighter. He's a great talent. But, you can waste potential. We've seen that numerous times. So hopefully Tank Davis can get his act together and start fighting people, because I like his style, to tell you the truth. I do like his style. Exactly, Matt. The bubble is always going to burst, but this could send us back to the Frank Maloney, Dave Coldwell dark ages. Yep. The bubble always bursts. I mean, look at after Eubank and Ben retired, the early 2000s. That was dire. Sky Sports were showing WBU title fights. They were selling the WBU as a world title in leisure centres. That was the standard of British boxing after Ben retired, Eubank retired. That was the standard. Bit of a dark age. Then Calzaghe and Hatton came along, done some good things. Again, kind of propped it back up. When Calzaghe and Hatton retired, we went back down. It was only really... after Calzaghe and Hatton, it was only really David Haye for a while but the rest of British boxing was in a really bad state. And it's always been up and down, up and down, up and down. But we're really up right now. We're really up. But, eventually we're going to go back down. Like I say, the bubble's going to burst, man. It's going to burst at some point. Yes, Chris Hayes. I got my hair cut on Friday. Yeah, Friday. Went to my Turkish barbers. By the way, nobody cuts hair better than a Turkish barber. Nobody. In the fucking barbers, they fucking took my temperature with that, electric temperature reader. I was fine. Got my hair cut. Jobs are good and perfect. Honestly, I've never been so fucking grateful for a haircut. Loved it. I was buzzing. Honestly, I was fucking buzzing. Insane. But you loved that, man. Loved it. Okay, boxing virus. Which fighters do you like better? The ones who have a lot of amateur experience or little to no amateur experience? I don't think there's not an exact. Well, I'll take that back. Usually a fighter with better amateur background will go further, but it's not an exact science. I mean, look at Sergio Martinez, for example. Didn't start boxing until he was 20. He had a very good career. That sort of thing can happen. A good amateur background is always desirable, I guess, but it's not the be all and end all. It's not the be all and end all. But I mean, there's been very good amateurs who have turned pro and they've not done anything. Look at Audley Harrison, for example, the most obvious case. Didn't do anything. So it's one of those things, man. Ideally, if you've got a good amateur background, I'm sure you're going to do better, but not always the case. Not always the case. Yes, Triple J. Yeah. The Turkish barbers I go to now, when I first started to go there, they'd give you like a Corona, they'd give you a beer while you're getting your hair cut. Now they only give you like a Turkish coffee, which is still nice actually, but yeah, they're good at what they do, man. They're good at what they do. What do you think of Emmanuel Navarrete moving to 126? He's going to get a WBO title shot. If it's against Conlan, Conlan will get smashed, I think. Yeah, I agree, G-Man. I agree. And on to that conversation about amateurs turning pro. Conlan was a great amateur, obviously. Really good amateur. I'm not convinced by Conlan's style as a pro, to be honest. And I think Navarrete, he's a rough, rugged guy, physically strong, throws a lot of punches, cuts the ring off quickly. I think he's all wrong for Michael Conlan, to be honest. I really do. I think he's all wrong for Michael Conlan. And that actually goes back to Boxing Virus's point. You've got one guy there in Conlan who was an elite level amateur, and you've got another guy in Emmanuel Navarrete who really wasn't an amateur of any note. But I'm clear who wins that fight. It's Navarrete. So there we go. Yeah, big up to Paul123. What's your favourite belt in boxing? I don't really have a favourite belt per se, but I mean, to look at, if it's purely visual, I'm going to say WBC, to be honest. It does look pretty cool. It does look pretty cool. I like the WBC. It does look good, man. It does look good. You could wear that to the club and get away with it. And also the British title I quite like as well. The Lord Londale belt. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm hanging, lads. Honestly, I'm hanging. I'm a fucking idiot, but I'm sitting here drinking a Guinness. So there we go. Yeah, the Lonsdale belt is nice, Paul. No doubt. It's a nice belt. It's a nice belt. I don't mind the IBF belt, to be honest. The IBF belt's okay. Yeah, the WBO is the worst looking, Dominic, no doubt. Yeah, the WBO is the worst looking. The Commonwealth belt looks pretty shit as well, in my opinion. Looks like a gay pride belt, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Don't like the Commonwealth belt. Kell Brook likes the Commonwealth. Oh, Christ. Yeah, the ring title, yeah. Yep. When you make a gay joke amongst boxing fans, Kell Brook always comes up without fail. Without fail. It's fucking jokes. Oh dear. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, lads, this was just a quick one, to be honest. I'm hanging at my arsehole, to be honest. I really am. Shouldn't I? Well, hopefully Kell Brook wasn't around when I said that, but yeah, I'm hanging. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap this one up, call it a night, and I think the plan will be later on in the week, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, I'll stream for a longer period of time, like a couple of hours or something. But yeah, just really wanted to get this one up, have a quick chat with you guys. Smash the like though, smash the like. Yeah, man. I'm going to hit the hay, man. I'm knackered. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Peace.